I've tried to split down today's main topic into 4 different individual parts. So the agenda will begin with understanding the value of monitoring the operational status of your servers and your virtual machines, the key metrics that we should focus on in order to guarantee maximum health and availability of our servers. Following which, we will take a look at the recent enhancements that we have made on the virtualization front with the introduction of Oracle virtual machines and kernel-based virtual machines. So the kind of metrics that we collect for these technologies is what we'll see next, followed by the hardware problems that can cause significant server downtime. And this is an important aspect to be watchful about, because certain times the problems could not be on the server side but instead on the hardware front, and this might actually cause some significant damage to your server performance if these issues are not noticed in time. So a little bit about that, followed by some analytical capabilities of the product that can help you plan capacity and forecast growth and utilization trends in the future with the help of machine learning. So the first thing that we are going to discuss about today is the operational status of servers. Now, before we get to the core of this topic, let us try to break down the parameters individually and understand the significance of each of them. Now, quite obviously, the CPU and memory utilization statistics should be really essential when we're talking about monitoring our server infrastructure. This can help you understand the load handled by your server by different applications hosted on it or different processes or services that are consuming memory. The disk utilization will help you understand the amount of disk space left and whether or not you need to consider installing or saving more resources in a particular drive based upon these insights that you will receive. The network statistics is another important parameter because this will help us understand if the problem lies in the network adapter or the network connectivity and not on the application side. This can help add that level of transparency in order to diagnose where the problem exactly lies. And then processes and services. These processes and services running on, say, your Windows server are in fact responsible for supporting various different applications, and to understand the memory consumption of these processes is just as important as monitoring the other parameters that we have discussed here. And the hardware components, as I mentioned in the previous slide, we will discuss more about this in the following slides about the kind of metrics that we collect in Applications Manager and how to be proactive when it comes to enabling a comprehensive server monitoring strategy. And all of these parameters will basically help us understand the availability and health, or in simple words, let's say the operational status of your server infrastructure. Let's split these parameters further and try to see the kind of information that the product can offer. When we're talking about CPU usage, the CPU utilization, and the breakdown of individual CPU cores is really important to understand which core is actually being utilized more and the kind of services or processes or applications that might be affected because of these utilization statistics. The memory utilization statistics will help us understand the read and write operations happening per second and whether or not they are happening seamlessly. If there is a problem with the memory, that is a physical or free memory, these kind of insights. Now this becomes really valuable when you consider several hundreds of servers that your IT ecosystem might have. So diagnosing and pinpointing these issues individually across servers can take a lot of time and actually cause significant damage to business continuity by the time the issue is found and then resolved. So with a single console, the visibility is quite better in terms of helping IT admins diagnose issues. Now then again, the hard disk usage will help us understand the drive space and the utilization, the free space, or the queue length in that disk. So these kind of insights can help us understand basically at any given time what is the status of your server, and if there is a problem, where is the problem, and what exactly is the problem. All of this is enabled within the product with the help of these metrics that we collect that can be correlated to the robust alarm management module that the product offers, which in turn will help you understand immediately when the problem arises and also automate certain remedial actions. The metrics that comprise the reports module for servers include the capacity planning reports and the forecasting reports and the trend analysis reports, and we will see more about these reports further during the course of this webinar and understand how these reports can really add value in terms of making informed decisions when it comes to capacity upgrades or resource distribution. Similarly, we collect wages metrics for virtual servers as well, and the virtual server technologies that Applications Manager supports is displayed on your screen, which includes VMware, that is the ESX and ESXi servers, the Microsoft Hyper-V servers, Zen servers, the recently introduced kernel-based virtual machines, Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization, and Oracle virtual machines. And the metrics that we collect for virtual machines include similar metrics like the servers, that is the CPU utilization, the memory utilization, the hardware and network statistics. So all of those parameters that we monitor for servers, we should also prioritize our virtual servers with the same parameters and understand the performance at all times. When it comes to VMware machines, some more details in the form of the number of host connections or the virtual machine connections, the status of the virtual machines, that is whether they are switched on, off, and the scheduled tasks that are running on these virtual machines, that kind of insights. And the reports module for virtual servers again includes a plethora of reports, not limited to the capacity planning and forecasting alone, but attribute-wise trend analysis report of each of your virtual servers. Besides the critical parameters that we discussed, details such as the processes that are running on your server is also vital when we're talking about server monitoring. These processes can be supporting a lot of different applications, so it is important to understand the memory utilization or the CPU utilization of these processes in order to understand whether your application will get impacted as a result of some error with the process completion, or say similarly for services. Now these services, for example, this screenshot here gives us a fair information about the different services that are running on a particular Windows instance and how the product is able to monitor these services for their health and availability. And besides this, you can also automate certain actions with respect to services, for example, executing services upon a particular alert. So things like that can also help you establish a proper issue diagnosis or fault management strategy with the help of Applications Manager. And finally, a little more details when it comes to the servers and virtual machines, that is the security details in the form of event logs. And event log details basically help you understand the various events or activities that are happening on your servers. This could be authorized or unauthorized attempts at logging in to your server. For example, this first point here, that is the failed account logon. Imagine you see several different failed account logon entries in your log file in a short period of time. This could be reason enough to take a look at what's happening on your server by which user at what time, and try to understand the purpose behind such an attempt. So a little bit of security value here in the form of event log monitoring within your servers. Let me take you to the product UI now so we can see some of these metrics within the Applications Manager console. Right here, I'm within the Applications Manager product UI, and this URL demo.appmanager.com is a public URL. You are free to access this URL and just work your way around the product and try to understand it better if you'd like to. So right here, this screen shows all the different types of technologies that the product can monitor, split across various categories, that is application servers, services, databases. But right here under servers is where we are going to focus now. And right here are 4 instances of Windows Server that I've already added. What I'm going to do is just take this instance, Windows WMI, and right here is the overview tab. Now for Windows servers, you can use the WMI mode of monitoring or the SNMP mode of monitoring. When it comes to Linux servers, the mode of monitoring would be either SSH, Telnet, or SNMP. So right here, if you see the overview tab, we get a quick glimpse at the health and availability of this instance, and it tells us the CPU, the memory, and disk utilization of this server, and then more details about the page memory usage and the breakup of this CPU utilization. If I scroll further, right here, I can see the process and service details. Now, what the product does is, if I scroll to the top and at my very right, you can see options like add process monitoring, add service monitoring, add schedule tasks. What these options allow you to do basically is, once you click on, say, add service monitoring, the product will list out all the services that are running in this particular instance of your Windows server, and then allow you to choose the services that you want to monitor with Applications Manager. And that is how I have added these 2 processes and these 2 services. Right here in the CPU tab, we will have details about the CPU utilization that we discussed in the slides. Scrolling down further gives us information about CPU utilization, but broken down by CPU cores, that is all of the individual cores, as you can see here. And right here is the detail about what are the different applications or databases that are hosted on this particular instance. The disk space is a tab that contains information about the disk utilization, that is the different drives, the different capacity in different drives, that is the total size, and the used space in these drives. Now remember, all of these parameters that you see with this option right here, this indicates that you can configure thresholds for these parameters and automate alarms to be raised each time a threshold breach occurs. And these alarms could be in the form of email action or an SMS or a trap notification. Let's take a look at the network statistics. Right here is the network interface, the health, the speed, and the traffic details about the network. And right here you can see the configuration details of this particular instance of Windows Server. So let me just go back to the monitors tab, and right here under the servers option, right under the virtualization option, let me select the Hyper-V server so I can show you certain metrics within the virtual server monitoring. aspect. So here, this overview screen is actually really valuable in terms of the information it offers. So right here, you can see that the root cause of an error has been diagnosed and listed here. So we can see that the health of this instance is poor, but the availability is high. However, the health has to be down because of some underlying cause. And this underlying cause or the underlying causes are diagnosed and listed by the product with its root cause analysis engine. And right here, you can see the different services which have contributed to the overall poor health of your Hyper-V instance. The details include the processor, the memory details, and the different services as we spoke about in the presentation. The CPU details containing the individual CPU cores and other statistics pertaining to these cores. Memory usage details like we discussed, the free, the physical memory, the swap memory, and the page details, that is the pages per second or the deposited pages, information like that. And again, all of these metrics can be associated with different thresholds based upon the criticality, and you can understand if these metrics breach the configured thresholds and cause a potential threat to your server's health. So let's go back to the presentation now and take a look at the next topic on our agenda. Now, this is a brief section where we will discuss about the metrics that we collect for Oracle virtual machines and kernel-based virtual machines. These were recent additions to our virtualization module, and the details we collect for Oracle virtual machines include the CPU and memory utilization that we collect for all servers and other virtual machines. So when we're talking about these kind of fundamental infrastructure elements, the most important parameter is the CPU and memory and disk utilization. So that is what we collect for Oracle virtual machines. And similarly for KVMs, that is kernel-based virtual machines, we collect CPU, memory, and network details. And we also collect the details about the storage pools and storage volumes within your KVM instance. Let me take you back to the product for a quick walkthrough of these two servers, virtual servers, and we'll see the metrics that we collect here. So under virtualization, you see KVM, and let me just select this instance. The overview tab with the CPU and memory details and the various virtual machine instance. The CPU tab with details about the CPU cores and the utilization. The storage pools information present here extensively with the help of the product that allows you to capture storage volumes as well. And again, you can select various volumes or various storage pools, configure alarms individually for these storage pools or storage volume metrics, and get notified in case there's an error. And right here, this tab will give us information about the configuration details of your KVM instance. Let me go back and find the Oracle virtual machines right here. There are two instances. I'm going to use this one. And right here, the overview tab, again, we see the health of this Oracle VM is down. And this is down because of the reason that is listed here. That is, a particular port is down, and basically the status of this particular attribute is critical, which is why it says the health is down. So this is how you configure thresholds with alarms in order to diagnose a problem along with its root cause analysis. And right here, the overview tab itself will list along with the reason if the health or availability of a particular server instance is down. The network interface tab again gives us the details that we have discussed about the network status and details like the IP address and the health of the network interface. Right here, we see the network interface with poor health, and this is exactly the reason, as you can see here, why the health of this Oracle VM is down. The configuration details with this particular Oracle VM's information is right here. So you basically get an idea about the parameters that the product is able to collect when it comes to fundamentals such as server and virtual machines that basically comprise the backbone of your entire application ecosystem. So let's go back to the presentation and take a look at the next important aspect, which is ways to tackle hardware problems that contribute to server downtime. What we do quite often is we overlook hardware problems and almost naturally assume that the problem has to exist on the server side. But if you look at this screen right here, for example, continuously running your machine can cause your machine to heat up, or probably unregulated power supply, or breakage in power supply. These kind of reasons can actually cause your machine to become extremely hot and raise your machine's temperature. This in fact can actually slow down your server performance and impact in fact your server performance, causing damage to other applications and critical services that might be running on your server. So parameters such as the fan speed, the power supply status especially, and the temperature sensor status, these kind of parameters on the hardware front can help you stay ahead of problems and detect problems before they compromise your server's performance. And these hardware parameters are collected for Dell machines and HP machines, provided you have the Open Managed Server Administrator installed on your Dell machine and the System Insight Manager installed on your HP machine. Let me take you back to the product quickly and just walk you through the different hardware metrics that we collect. So what I've done here is added a Windows instance, and right here you can see just how these parameters will look like within the product. Right here is the fan details, the temperature sensor details, the processor, the memory, the disk, and array details. So again, you have information right from the CPU and disk utilization to the hardware metrics related to the temperature of your CPU and the fan speed. So this is the kind of visibility that we need when we are talking about comprehensive server infrastructure monitoring. Back to the presentation, and let us take a quick look at the final topic in today's agenda, that is resource planning. Now, what exactly is resource planning and where does resource planning begin? Resource planning begins by identifying the resource usage and the utilization trends of your existing resources. For example, on your left, you can see the capacity planning and resource allocation tab, which is basically an understanding of your server capacity, how oversized or undersized these servers are, and whether or not you need to redistribute your resources across servers in order to maintain a healthy and seamless delivery of business services. And on your right, you can see the forecast reports. These machine learning based forecast reports will help you accurately predict the growth and utilization trends of various parameters. For example, say the disk size of your server. And this can help you understand how likely are you to run out of memory and how soon are you going to run out of memory. So these kind of insights can help you plan capacity by understanding the historical performance trends and the capacity utilization of your server based upon these trends. These reports are an important part of understanding the performance of your different applications and servers. Yes, however, it only becomes possible if you implement a proactive monitoring strategy. Now, this proactive monitoring means making the most out of your applications and servers. And this is possible by implementing a robust threshold management wherein you can use static as well as adaptive thresholds to diagnose issues and make sure the server performance is always at the maximum level. Anomaly detection, so you don't have to be startled by an undiagnosed issue suddenly, but instead understand the gradual performance degradation that your server is undergoing with the help of dynamic baselines. Automated notifications are another important aspect of proactive monitoring, because the sooner you diagnose an issue, the faster you can resolve it. So a quick SMS notification or an email notification will make you stay up to date with any problems or bottlenecks that are arising within your server. And then automated actions. There are certain actions that the product allows to automate. For example, actions like Windows service action or virtual machine action. For example, you can choose to start, stop, or restart a virtual machine if a known issue persists. And options like the execute script action. For example, if you see the disk space error and you run the disk cleanup to free up space, you could write a script and have that script be executed every time the disk space error occurs. So these are the kind of small automations you can use in order to troubleshoot known issues faster. And finally, within the reporting module, beyond capacity planning and beyond forecast reports, we also have something called the audit logs. These audit logs are nothing but a complete registry of all the different activities happening within your applications manager console, and these logs capture details based upon the application type, the user, the time the change has been made, and any action type. For example, if a monitor has been deleted or added to a different business service group, details such as these are captured, so you always know what's happening within your applications manager console and by which user. So let me take you to the product once again so I can walk you through the reporting module. Right here you can see the reports module, and within the reports module I scroll down and you can see the capacity planning reports on my left. So what I do here is click on, say, the undersized servers, and this is the capacity planning report that I was talking about in the presentation. If you look at this screen right here, you will notice that all the different servers that I have added within my product are visible here, and I can understand based upon the CPU utilization, memory utilization, and disk utilization statistics, whether or not these servers require additional capacity. And right here, I see that these two server instances are undersized, and the reason is right here. Now, of course, this data is captured based upon the thresholds that you specify right over here. And based upon these, the product will collect the capacity planning statistics of your server and help you understand whether or not you need more capacity or more servers to support incoming requests and processes with your business application. Let me close this tab and click on the forecast reports. Right here, let me click on the forecast report of disk utilization of servers. Right here, you can see the forecast by growth trend, and on my right is the forecast by utilization. And if I scroll down further, I can see the list view of these graphs. And basically what these graphs help us to understand is, for example, the disk utilization of the first 4 servers here have already crossed 80%, which means it is definitely a cause for concern. Now, insights like this can actually help us know ahead of time to upgrade capacity so as to prevent these bars from sliding into these red zones. And if I click here on 3 months or 5 months, I see corresponding data, that is the growth and utilization data for that period of time in the future. Let me close this and let me just quickly show you the list of actions that the product offers, since we spoke about automated actions. Now, beyond actions for servers and virtual machines, there are other actions that the product supports and allows you to automate. For example, right here you can see create a new ticket option. This option will help you automatically create a ticket in your help desk if it is ServiceNow or ManageEngine Service Desk Plus. That is, alarms that are raised in Applications Manager will be logged as tickets in your help desk. Java heap dump or thread dump or garbage collection, this option will help you generate heap dumps for Java applications automatically if you automate this action with a particular threshold within your Java application. Windows Services action, SQL job action, and Slack action is something that we have introduced recently. We will be discussing more about this integration between Applications Manager and Slack in the next week's webinar. Let me go back to the presentation now, and let's walk through the quick recap of this webinar that we have been discussing about today. In the first part, we saw the value of monitoring the operational status of servers and virtual machines, that is the different metrics that we need to focus on and the parameters that the product collects and displays, which can be useful when we are implementing a server monitoring plan. Some metrics on the Oracle virtual machine and kernel-based virtual machine front, and the details that we collect there and how each of these metrics are configurable, that is with the help of thresholds and alarms and automated actions. And then the importance of being watchful about hardware problems and how these hardware problems can sometimes contribute to server downtimes. And finally, resource planning, that is capacity planning by understanding historical performance trends and also predicting the growth and utilization trends in the future. Thank you. Have a good day.